And we're back for some more video today. Some more chance to talk about fun things while we look around fun places. Here we're in the mountains of Idaho with beautiful sunsets behind us and fantastic forest in this area. Uh, got some lovely growth and some of the areas that have been spared the worst of the fires, which is fantastic to see. So, today I've been thinking a little bit about the aspect of what is sometimes referred to as Mars forming. So, of course, when we go to other worlds, like Mars or even just the moon, uh, we hear a lot about what is called terraforming, where we make the planet a little bit more Earth-like, so that we have the ability to live there more easily, to bring other species there, to make it feel a bit more like home. You know, like the beautiful plants and animals that are forming the fantastic communities that we see out in this area. All of the beautiful different species that come together and produce the conditions that we need to live here on Earth. Not just the things that we eat, but also all of the air, maintaining the environment, recycling water systems, creating soils, etc. And that's definitely a good thing. It's something we will be continuing to work on, something I'll definitely talk about in the future here. But there is, in effect, another side to this. We have not just the ability to mold Mars or whatever world to be more Earth-like, but we can mold the things we're going to take there to be closer and better able to survive on Mars. In fact, just previously we were discussing the concept of human enhancement in order to achieve greater things in sports than have been the case in the past. Well, if we take that a step further, then we can say we're not going to modify humans to just be better at sports, to run faster or jump higher, although those may be things that are useful as well. Look at that when we talk about space sports. But there will be plenty of reasons to make other basic modifications. Right now, there's a lot of effort going into dealing with issues related to microgravity. And while something like Mars or the moon is not microgravity, it is certainly gravity that's significantly less than that on Earth. Mars specifically comes in at about 0.38 g, or that fraction of Earth's total gravity, which is a great deal less than we're used to having here on the Earth itself. And of course, everything, not just humans, are well adapted to dealing with gravitation as we are fond of seeing it here. And that makes it sometimes hard for species to manage without. And that is something that we have observed significant problems with astronauts on the space station. They don't have a great time usually when they have to watch as their bones starts to degrade or their vision clouds over and has problems because the blood is shifting around inside their bodies. 2 hours a day on the International Space Station are spent doing exercise simply to try and manage these issues that are ongoing. We're looking at a whole bunch of ways to deal with that by spinning orbital space stations that people can stay in, or spinning spaceships to induce artificial rotational gravity, but that has a whole mess of other engineering problems. Fascinating stuff, and certainly a worthy project, but it's something we have yet to tackle. And so, if we can figure out something like dealing with gravity by inducing better management of blood in the human body so it does not start to float around in places where it isn't intended to be, where you don't have enough gravity, well, that would be fantastic. What kind of modifications are required to do that specifically is not entirely known, but that's part of what we need to explore. You could also make some genetic modifications if you wanted to. We're looking into a lot of those things now, and genome editing, especially with CRISPR style, is coming along with a lot of capabilities. Now, it's not moving as fast as it might. There are challenges in the way. Of course, anytime you're dealing with humans, you have a lot of questions and concerns that have to be addressed. There are perhaps a little bit um, of an extra challenge in terms of government and legal excesses that are probably slowing it down a little bit more than it needs to, but it's something that is going to have to come along as it can. And so we also are going to look at what we can do with animals and plants when we take them to Mars. Now, nobody really is too worried about what you do with a plant. If you want to experiment on them, it doesn't even require an institutional review board. You can simply take some plants and start growing them and tweaking them and even torturing the poor things until you start getting the results that you're looking for. Multiple generations, roasting them in the sun, or perhaps throwing them outside onto the barren lava flows, the sort of areas you'd be expecting to find something more like on Mars. And so, more modifications there are going to be very interesting. And those are going to come a lot faster and perhaps provide a lot more opportunity. Of course, as we going to space, we need a lot of that kind of thing around. We have to be able to create some kind of stable food supply. We have to also be able to renew the atmosphere and clean the water. The same things that all of this lovely natural world out here already does on its own for us. That needs to be replicated somehow. Now, currently we're doing versions of it with machinery, and that's fine as far as it goes, but it's going to be very hard to do at scale and any large space you want to fill. And of course, it's not quite as beautiful. It's not going to be quite as fun to enjoy, and it's probably not as effective, nor especially cost effective. We need to make sure that we are able to grow these things. So modifying the plants and doing editing on them is going to be a great place to work on this at the moment, because of course it is that much easier and that much less fraught to do it with a plant specimen or any. And there are definitely people working on this. It's fantastic to read about and see the things that are being done all the time with various experiments in different places. So yeah, that's what we're thinking about with Mars forming. How can we make people and the entire environment just a little bit more suited to a different environment outside of planet Earth? So with that, we'll do some more crazy robotany and see you in the future. Bye-bye.